Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I wanted to talk about something I've wanted to for a while, and that is Operation Harsh Doorstop. So if you don't know what Harsh Doorstop is, it's a free FPS developed by a YouTuber called BlueDrake and a talented team of modders that has both single player and multiplayer in mind, and spans multiple eras of warfare including World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Cold War, and modern warfare. To quote the game's Steam page, "I got sick of games with loot boxes and predatory monetization, with no single player missions or mod support. So our community started making this game instead, a shooter sandbox with all the features a game should have." End quote. Now, a key part of this game that makes it so cool is that aforementioned mod support. BlueDrake has gone on record to say that he wants the mod support to not only be extensive, but to allow modders to create virtually anything. And despite the fact that the game has only been publicly released for 2 days as of the recording of this video, there are already several mods that have made their way to the workshop, including a Total Conversion Halo mod, a Toy Soldiers mod, a Black Hawk Down mod, new maps, and many, many more. I cannot stress how much potential this game has. If you've been on my channel for a while now, you know that I'm a huge fan of Ravenfield, and I honestly think this game could be the next Ravenfield, but with better graphics and an even more versatile modding community given enough time. From what we have seen, I already personally think the game's pretty fun to play, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the game does have its flaws, so let me say this. If you're going into Harsh Doorstop thinking that you'll be getting a superior free version of Squad or Battlefield, you will be sorely disappointed. The game has it's an extremely early state with limited weapons, maps, and mechanics, as well as a total lack of vehicles and shaky optimization at best. Also, the AI for the single-player component is a disaster, with bots often just charging forward to their deaths, spamming smoke grenades, or bunching up in one area. Needless to say, there is a lot to be desired at times, and I can fully understand the frustration some players are expressing. However, something BlueDrake himself has said is that this game is by no means intended to represent a finished product currently, and has only been released publicly as a means for more modders to get their hands on it. It should not be treated like a full or even functional game, rather it's more of a platform and project, much like Call of Chernobyl was back in 2015 for the Stalker community. It's not meant as a full game in and of itself, but is something that both the developers and the community can add to and improve over time. Those of you that have been on my channel for a while now will know that I am very critical of games, and I call out shady practices when I see them, but I honestly don't think this is anything to worry about. The game is free, and there are no microtransactions whatsoever. Now, I have seen some people complain about the fact that there is DLC, but I do feel it's important that said DLC is just early access to content that will be released free for the general player base at a later date when it's finished, and it just serves as a way for people to show their support for the game and to fund the development. It's not in any way locking anything behind a paywall or really giving any bonuses to those who play for it other than a little early access thank you. It seems to be more intended as just kind of thanking people for their support rather than actual paid content, and I think it's a fair way to keep this project's development going, as after all, this isn't a massive multi-billion-dollar company we're talking about here. It's just a couple of passionate gamers that are tired of the modern industry's garbage, trying to make something cool. Despite its many flaws, I think Harsh Doorstop has an incredible amount of potential. I'm not someone who enjoys multiplayer games anymore. I think they've become far too competitive, and by nature they cater to a certain niche of players that I'm not a part of. So to see this game have single player bots to play against, even though they may not be particularly good, is something I personally really look forward to. And like I said, they do need improvement, but I'm excited to see what they may bring in the future. Right now, it seems like the bots are either so good that they'll one-shot you across the map, or so bad that they'll be right in front of you and just ignore you altogether. Now, I did briefly try out the multiplayer side of things, and thus far that seems to function pretty well for what it is. The gameplay does get stale after a while. As I mentioned earlier, we have no vehicles and a limited selection of maps, but again, the potential here, with all the future mods that'll be added to this game, is amazing. Like I said earlier, I'm a huge fan of Ravenfield, and to see a game do what Ravenfield does with better graphics is a dream come true. I also hear that the developers are working on some sort of construction system that will be implemented at a later date. Just imagine what modders could do with that over time. I know this is just a pipe dream here, but I like to think about a first-person Halo Command & Conquer hybrid where you have massive scale battles with drivable scarabs, Spartans, Marines, and giant buildable structures. I remember years ago I had actually seen a video on YouTube talking about how cool it would be if the then next Battlefield game would allow players to build cover and fortifications and change the map. Well, with the direction that this game's going in, that may well be possible in the future. Like I said here, the potential is amazing, and I can't stress that enough, but I also can't stress enough that the game's incredibly bare bones right now. That being said, though I have been enjoying especially the World War I maps using the bolt action rifles, it seems to be the most polished aspect of the game right now. Maybe it's because the bolt actions make it run a little bit slower pace, so it's harder for the bots to one-shot you across the map. That's just my take. At the end of the day, I think what's going to happen with Harsh Doorstop is because of its lack of features and general wonkiness, I think it's just going to blow up for the next few weeks and then lose a lot of its player base and sort of fade into obscurity due to the aforementioned. However, I don't think that this will be the end of the game at all. I've seen a lot of people on Steam reviews saying that first impressions matter and that this lukewarm reception we're seeing is going to basically kill it and the project's going to die, but I disagree. I think that for a while, yes, this game will be very niche and almost dead, but a thing to keep in mind is that the modding community seems passionate. Like I said earlier in the video, the game's been up for 2 days and there's a couple pages of Steam mods already, with more coming out as I was writing for the script for this video. So the game itself's been in the works for about 3 years, and this public release is just the next step in its development, so more modders can come in, and BlueDrake has even said that if some of the mods are good enough, he actually wants to bring those people into his team. Overall, everyone behind it seems dedicated and passionate, and I think we'll see many great things coming from them in the future. It's just going to take time. But that's just my take. So what are your thoughts on Operation Harsh Doorstop? Do you think it's got potential? Do you like what's there now? Or do you think it's too early to tell? Or something else? I personally have a lot of hope for this game, but I won't put any investment into it other than a few hours of playtime. But I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, I thank you for watching. Go download Harsh Doorstop and give it a try. You don't have anything to lose. Have a great day, and stay safe. Goodbye, guys.